Welcome back to the channel. I'm Taylor Thrasher, and today I'm going to break down something I wish I knew over a decade ago. If I had a nickel or a dime for every time some guy reached out to me and was like, I want to lose fat and build muscle at the same time, I would no longer have to coach people and teach them how to do that for money. I would be rich. I hear it all the time. It's most men's goal, okay? Losing fat and building muscle. The number one thing that you need to know. These are two different processes in the body. Muscle does not come from fat. Fat does not turn into muscle. There's a lot of guys that have this idea that, yeah, I want to take this fat and turn it into muscle. That is not how it works. For the most part, if you're a dude and you're not lean enough to see your abs, you're not like some skinny kid, or you're not a man that grew up skinny and it's hard to put on weight. If you have some of this, you need to lose fat before you worry about building muscle, because there's some good news here. You've already got muscle mass, but you have to get rid of the fat first, okay? So number one thing, fat does not equal muscle. Fat will never become muscle, okay? No matter how much you're training, no matter how much you're dieting, fat does not equal muscle. That's the number one thing that you need to realize about this whole process. Number two, generally, for the most part, most men in this country that I have seen need to, number one, lose fat first. Number two, build muscle second. In that order, okay? This is why. If you have extra body fat on your body, and say you come to me for a coaching program and you're focused on building muscle, I'm gonna put you in a calorie surplus to where you're eating more calories in a day than you're burning in a day, so that your body can take those extra calories and build muscle with it. But if you have a bunch of extra body fat, what your body would rather do with those extra calories is take and multiply fat cells, okay? So even if you were making muscle gains, you're not gonna be able to see it because you have all this body fat on you, but your body's also not optimally building muscle because it's taking a lot of those calories to multiply fat cells. Something that a lot of men don't realize, and I know this because I hear, oh, I just need to bulk up. I need to put on some size. I need to build some muscle. I just need to get bigger. This is what men don't realize. Your body looks like this. Let's just say, okay? Whoa, let's not say. Your body looks like this. You've got your head, you've got your neck, you've got your shoulders, your arms, your midsection, whatever. What a lot of guys don't realize is this is just square and straight right here because there's body fat covering up that awesome definition that you have in your shoulder and this bicep that you have with this vein running through it. There's body fat covering it up. If you burn off this body fat, you're going to have muscle. You're gonna have a physique underneath it. You're gonna have lats and you're gonna have a V taper underneath, right? Once you get rid of all this body fat, like, that's what you're gonna be looking like. You're gonna have abs, you're gonna have the V taper, you're gonna start to see some lats because it's just body fat covering up all this beautiful shape and muscle mass that you have here, okay? Your neck is even gonna get skinnier. You're finally gonna be able to get into that suit and button the top button again. This is what you look like underneath. And obviously we could eventually take and optimize and start to build muscle, but all this garbage right here, all this body fat is what's making you look soft and pudgy. And here's your love handles that hang over your waist. You have to get rid of all the junk first. And then what happens is something called insulin sensitivity. Your body becomes sensitive to insulin, which means you're nice and lean, you're looking like this, right? I am very sensitive to insulin because there's not a lot going on here. You can see visible abs. That means I can eat like 700 or 800 grams of carbs in a day and not put on body fat because my body's using those carbohydrates, sending them to my muscles. They're becoming muscle glycogen. I'm starting to hold more water in my muscles so I look fuller. It's a great thing. But if you are fat, you're probably dealing with some level of insulin resistance, okay? When you're insulin resistant, you've got a soft stomach, your body's gonna take those carbs, break them immediately down into sugar, and your body's gonna store them as extra body fat. So most muscle building diets are going to have a lot of carbs in them. If you are not lean enough, if you have not lost fat and you're trying to build muscle too soon, this is going to get even worse. It's going to worsen your problems. So I thought for a long time that to get the big bodybuilder physique that I wanted, I had to grow into it. I said what all of you guys are saying. Oh, I just need to bulk up. I need to put on some muscle. I tried that. I was force feeding myself 6,000 calories a day because I thought I had to grow into this badass physique from kind of the square, soft, chunky physique that I was facing from force feeding myself. But all I was doing was making it worse. When I finally had a clearly defined set of goals, which was lose fat and then build muscle, I looked like this guy right here. I had veins that were looking like spider webs in my shoulder caps, dude. I had veins coming up out of my abs. Like I had bicep veins that you could see through the shirt that I was wearing. And I had a good physique. But do you know what it took? It took me losing 50 pounds, roughly, to go from 245, 250 down to 195. And when I was 195 pounds, I looked way bigger than I did at 250, 245 pounds because I had some shape. I had some separation. I had veins. I started looking good. And then do you know what happened? I started to build muscle from there, from a very lean, insulin sensitive state, eating a lot of carbohydrates, and then I was able to get bigger, put on muscle without putting on extra body fat because my body was using those carbs and using those extra calories effectively. Too many guys think that they need to build the muscle first. That is not true for the majority of people watching this video. I almost guarantee it. This is absolutely the place you want to start. Lose fat, get lean, figure out, like I explained in another one of my videos, macros. You need to track your macros and you need to be on a solid training plan. You need a blueprint. You need something to follow because this is going to make it easy on the days that you don't feel like going in. It's going to have exactly what you need to do in the gym broken down. When it comes to your macros, you're going to have your macro numbers broken down. And for the most part, depending on which coach you choose to hire, which is the best, fastest way to do it, you're going to have a meal plan to follow as well. The number one part of any blueprint that anybody's going to give you or that you set up for yourself has to do with nutrition. This is the absolute bar none number one thing that you need to focus on when you're on any fat loss or muscle building diet. If you are starting from a lean physique and you want to build muscle, it all comes from nutrition. I have had people on my program that couldn't work out because of a car accident, injury, or whatever they had going on. They literally couldn't hit the weights. I've had people lose like 70 pounds in the course of 12 months without ever touching a weight, just from focusing on their nutrition and getting some steps in, okay? The number two thing that you need to focus on is activity, okay? Now, activity could be several different things. Activity could be you walking the dog more often, you taking your wife and kids on a walk around the neighborhood at night. It could be you getting a standing desk at work with a walking pad. It could be you, instead of sitting on the couch watching TV, you go get on the treadmill or the elliptical and you watch something on your phone. It doesn't exactly have to be lifting weights in the gym. Now, I think that's one of the best ways to do it because of all the other benefits that you're going to get on top of it. But really, it's nutrition and activity. If you didn't lift a weight a day in your life, you could still lose tons and tons of pounds and start to get a better physique, like my beautiful drawing that I just erased, just from these two alone. The number three thing that you're going to want to focus on, this is going to blow you away, is consistency with these two. This includes your workouts, this includes your cardio, this is your nutrition, this is your macros, this is your meal plan. Staying consistent is the absolute secret ingredient to success in this realm of your life or any other area of your life. I've been training for 10, 11, 12, however many years I've been training for, probably closer to 12 now. The biggest contributor to my success is the fact that I just never stopped. That's all I did. I literally did it more than I didn't do it over the course of a decade, okay? things really started to change for me when I finally got locked in on my nutrition and my activity, my cardio, making sure that I was optimizing my weightlifting, mostly from nutrition, and having a clearly defined set of goals. Get lean first and then build up from there. I see far too often people will get started on these and then they will stop. They'll stop for 2 days, it'll turn into 2 weeks, and then before you know it, 2 weeks is 2 months to a year. Staying consistent with it and just forcing yourself to do what you know you need to do is the absolute secret ingredient, secret sauce to the whole thing. Having a blueprint optimally made by somebody else for you that's gonna dial in your nutrition, they're gonna dial in your activity, and they're gonna help you stay consistent and stay accountable. That's the best way to do it. I had gotten locked in several times in my life before getting on a program. Once I finally signed up for a fitness program and somebody else calculated my macros, and I knew that I had to stick to that because otherwise I was letting them down, not just myself, I stuck to it a lot tougher. I could set my own macros. I had done it before in the past, but when you have in the back of your head the accountability of knowing that you're gonna check in with somebody, you're gonna do check-in photos, you're gonna tell them, these are my results from your program that you gave me, it's a whole nother level of self-accountability. If you don't know what you're doing when it comes to nutrition, then absolutely having somebody set up your nutrition is gonna be the way to do it. The majority of us, right, I'll include myself in this, weren't educated on nutrition. Proteins, carbs, fats, macros, activity, calories burned versus calories in. Like, none of us were really taught that in school. So it's not saying that you're dumb if you don't know. It's learning. It's continuing your education because we were never taught it. So learn from somebody who knows and save yourself some time. I trained for years in the gym. I got really strong and I was also chunky. I was fat. I was overweight because I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I finally learned what I should be doing, I still wasn't as accountable to myself as I could have been because A, it was a hobby. I wasn't taking it as seriously, but because my goals were misaligned also. I grew up watching Rich Piana eat 12 meals a day if you want to get huge. But what I didn't understand was, number one, he's on PEDs. Just like every other guy that I was watching that was telling me to eat 10 or 12 times a day, they're on steroids. When you're on steroids, your body is going to do different things with the food that you eat, okay? You're gonna be more anabolic. Your body's gonna have a higher protein synthesis rate. Your digestion is gonna be faster. There's all these different things that happen when you're on PEDs. So you have to consider the source. But also another thing that I didn't realize about nutrition is these guys were eating 10, 12 meals a day of very lean food groups. They were eating chicken and rice, which is high in protein and carbs, very low in dietary fat. All I was looking at was the protein and the calories. I got to get my 200 grams of protein and I got to eat 6,000 calories a day. But how was I getting those calories when I got myself up to 250 pounds? It was cheese, it was butter, it was sour cream, it was whole eggs, all these things. But I would also be high carb. I would be putting maple syrup and jelly into my oatmeal and peanut butter. All these things were really, really high in carbs and fats, which gave me a lot of calories. But if I wasn't insulin sensitive because I was overweight and I'm putting literal sugar into my oats, like what do you think my body's gonna do with that? And I'm giving it so many calories from dietary fat that of course I put on some body fat. So I didn't realize at the time that those guys were enhanced. They were eating way leaner than I ever was, and they were staying on top of their training and doing cardio. A lot of the times that I was lifting, I wasn't doing cardio. I didn't realize how good it was for your health. I didn't realize how good cardio was for muscle growth, etc., etc. So having a clearly defined set of goals, lose fat first, build muscle second. Once you get lean, then you can focus on building muscle. Having your nutrition as the pinnacle of your blueprint that you're going to follow daily, absolutely critical. You can't outwork a bad diet. Having your activity level set, getting steps in, hitting the gym and doing weightlifting 6 days a week, which is what I recommend to all my clients, and staying consistent with it. Having an accountability group, getting to be a part of a program and getting around a community of people that are all doing the same thing with a similar set of goals is gonna help you stay consistent. It's gonna help you stay, dare I say it, motivated, It's going to help you stay motivated. Once you start seeing results from these two and you're being pushed by your accountability group, it's going to be way easier to stay accountable to yourself, but it's also going to be super motivating. Like when I started looking in the mirror and I started seeing some separation and some veins, I was like, damn, I love this. It made training even better. But you have to have, whether you make it for yourself or whether you hire someone like me to make it for you, you have to have a blueprint and you have to be consistent with it. Nutrition has to be the absolute number one priority of it. Number two, being your activity, whether it's the gym, whether it's cardio, whether it's a mix of all of them. And then, dude, these are nil if you're not consistent with it. Straight up. Like you could just cross these two off the list if you're not going to be consistent. But going in without a solid plan or thinking that you're going to turn this fat into muscle or you're going to build muscle first and then you're going to lose fat, your results are not going to be optimized. I guarantee you, you will love your results if you focus on losing fat first, getting lean, getting very sensitive to insulin by focusing on your nutrition and activity, and then going into a muscle building phase and then continuing on for the rest of your life. There will be cutting phases and bulking phases where you're trying to burn body fat. And then in the wintertime, the off season, you're putting on muscle, which inevitably comes with a little bit of body fat. I have to say that. You'll be putting on that muscle, and then over the summertime, you're maintaining the muscle and you're trimming away any body fat that you put on while you were in your muscle building phase. I hope this video helped you. If you want one-on-one coaching from me, if you want me to create you a blueprint so you know exactly what you need to be eating every day, exactly how much you need to be training, what your activity should look like, and if you want to get involved in a community that's going to help you stay consistent and help you stay accountable, hit the link in the description of this video or hit me up on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I will absolutely lace you up, and then you can look like any one of my massive client transformations that I have had over the last couple of years of getting the awesome opportunity to coach people just like you. I hope to hear from you soon. See you on the next video.